This is Leisha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast. And I am so excited to welcome back to our audience today somebody who has previously been on the podcast. Actually, it was quite some time ago, but who's been a personal friend and ex-colleague of mine actually for, we dread to think how long it's been, over 20 years. But to anyone that's not listened before, this is Katy Green, and Katy is a recruitment business growth coach and joint founder of Centered Excellence, and just generally wonderful human being, also a yoga practitioner. I think there's quite a few strings to your bow. Welcome back to you today, Katy. How are you?
Thank you so much, Leisha. I am really good, really good. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. So thanks for inviting me on.
You are very welcome. So for those who are not yet familiar with Centered Excellence, just give us an overview as to what you actually do.
Yeah, so as you said, we are where our sort of, if you like, strings to our bow are that we help recruitment businesses, and that's niche, so ambitious, small to medium-sized recruitment businesses to scale, to create systems within their business to help them to scale so that those business leaders can actually step away from that day-to-day grind, that 24/7 grind in their business, and actually do the part of the job that they set it out to do in the first place when they created that business, is to step up and really step into the shoes of that CEO, and actually then get their team doing the lion's share. So it enables them to step away from that business and do what they love.
I think if anyone's not yet watching and sort of joining in with what you do on your social media, I think the word I think about is that you create freedom for your community, and that's something that potentially we might come on to talk about. But you know, yourself and Nikki Coffin, we must shout out to Nikki as well. You obviously have incredible provenance, having done those roles yourselves. You've actually sort of walked the walk, talked the talk, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. Shed the tears is what we like to say. You know, got the scars to prove it, as you know, as we both have, Leisha. I mean, it's the thing is though, it's like everything, isn't it? I always reframe any challenge in my life is a gift in my eyes, because if you want to double your success rate, then triple your failures, because that is really what stretches you, what grows you, what cultivates you into moving up to the next level of your ambition and your skills and ability. So yeah, that's what I would say to that.
Totally agree with you. Well, one of the questions I wanted to start with really is that when you ask your delegates, when they get involved in your courses and your rocket and Centered Excellence, you ask your delegates, what are they best in the world at? So why, first of all, why do you ask them that question? And then secondly, I want you to answer that question and tell everyone what you're best at. So first of all, why do you ask that question? Why is that the starting point?
Because whatever you're best at the world at is generally a very, very clear indication of where your love lies and where your purpose lies. And your purpose is the biggest, it's the core fundamental of what drives you as an individual. So if you're not doing what you love, if you're not doing what excites you, what presses your button and gets you to move outside of your comfort zone every day, but to take pride as well in what you do, then hey, you're not going to have the same quality of life and certainly the same quality of career. And that's where people end up doing jobs. And then it's like, I'm just kind of going through the motions. I'm earning money and that money will help to fulfill my lifestyle, but I'm not fulfilling my soul. I'm not fulfilling my purpose. I don't feel nourished by the job that I do. And I literally feel like a robot.
And I guess for a lot of the people that will answer that question, your delegates are going to be business owners. They might have accidentally ended up in that position. Maybe they were just a really successful bidder and now they're having to do other elements of the job that they don't actually enjoy. And having gone through one of your courses myself, I to this day still use that natural flow piece. For me, it's a light bulb moment for so many people that must go through your courses.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. It's a light bulb moment that I had too. And it is because I can remember being that recruitment business leader who really, I felt like I was, good at internal recruitment. I was good at interviewing people, but these were for my staff, myself. And actually you end up ending up putting yourself or creating this job for yourself that you sort of get to a point where you're like, I'm not sure I actually really love this anymore. This wasn't what I set out to do. And so one of the things that, you asked, like, what is it that we do and why is that important, is because a lot of business owners find themselves where they've created a business that is built around them. So what I mean by that is that they've built a system that harvests their own energy, and that energy is what's creating the placements or creating the success. Now, but the problem with that is that energy and time are finite. So you can only get so far, and then what happens is chaos starts to descend on us and our clients, and then you can't actually work yourself out of that situation, because it's what we call a systems. It's a design issue. So it's not a work ethic or organizational issue. But what that means is that you haven't then got that system within your organization, which means, going back to what we were saying, that your team, your machines, your technology are actually creating that profit, that revenue for you. And so what we help people to do is, we call it making that shift from like that super salesperson to that business builder.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's really what that's about. And that's when you can then get your business working on autopilot.
I imagine a lot of people get trapped in what you've just described there. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of people listening across the globe here, and that will resonate.
Right.
So in terms of answering that question then, what are you best at the world at?
So there's three things that we do with our clients. So strategy, structure, culture. And we help businesses who have that ambition of wanting to scale, or maybe they've reached a ceiling, and that ceiling of complexity that we've just discussed, and it's like, I just don't know how to get further. So they haven't got that consistent flow of revenue coming in. So the cash flow is quite often an issue for them. Or they feel like, I don't have enough time, I'm just getting sucked into the business can't operate without me. And so what we help those clients to do is to elevate themselves into that position that they initially wanted to do, which is running that business, which is what they'd be great at. And then we help them to systemize that business behind them so that they have a team that is generating that. And then they're working, as you said, they then start to work in their flow state. And that's where the magic begins.
It really does. And if you want to know more about the magic, then please connect to Katy, because I've known Katy so long, professionally and personally, having gone through that myself. It's just literally light bulb. That's all I can say to you. So you are like myself, your client base is my client base. It's SME leaders. You're getting to see best practice. You're getting to see how people's failures are then turned into success. So what are leaders doing right now which is going to be the biggest headache for anyone, keeping hold of the best talent? What are they fundamentally doing? What are you seeing that they're doing to maybe lock people in, in terms of investment in people? Are there fundamental similarities of what people are doing?
So it's a really interesting question, because I think there are a lot of businesses out there, and again, it'd be very interesting for your listeners to comment on this, that are so maxed out right now with the nirvana that we are in terms of the landscape. I'm not sure it's on everyone's radar, or not as high on their priority list as maybe it needs to be, because there's a window, and we know that, there is going to be a shift at some point in time, probably this year, there is going to be a shift of that dynamic. So those that are ahead and are thinking about it, what we work with our clients around is creative commission structures, and going back to systemizing their business. It's actually about making sure that those individuals are working in the parts of the job that they love the most, and it's their genius zone. Yeah. Because when they are doing that, and they have that strong sense of purpose, and they understand what their role is, and they're literally every day, they're skipping to work because I'm doing what I love, and I'm getting rewarded for that very nicely, thank you very much. There is a much, much lower scenario of them being tempted elsewhere. So, it is also about the vision of the business and how you're cascading and communicating where it is that you're going on that journey, because you will know, having, you know, two lovely girls in that generation, you know, the generation, are we in Z, Y, where are we now? Z.
Currently, yeah.
That's it. They are most driven by serving and that sense of purpose, not money. So if you're not connecting them to what your business objectives are from a point of a vision and a mission of our business, like what do we stand for? What do we get out of bed for? What do we want our clients to experience with us every day? What are our values? Then, you know, again, you're leaving yourself exposed really there. So
Totally.
Yeah. So,
and I'm glad you brought up the Generation Z, because I think that I obviously hear it from a slightly different perspective, because I hear it from a rec to rec perspective. But what Katy's saying there, if you aren't thinking about how to keep hold of your best talent, and whether that's billers, whether that's your PR team, marketing team, you need to think now. As we record this now in May 2022, we are in an absolute bubble. It's like you say, nirvana, and we know that we go through cycles. Even if you are in your first couple of years in recruitment, you know what's coming. You know that the economy is straining at the seams. Wherever you're listening to this, wherever in the world, there are going to be austerity measures in place. There's going to be challenging times ahead. And so from that point of view, you know, please take note if you're a recruitment leader and you've got, you know, this new generation coming through. So it leads very nicely to the next point, really, that things do change rapidly. We saw that in 2020. You know, things can change. We need to be adaptable. So what would you say are the core pillars for both? I want us to really appeal to the recruiters listening as well. What are the core pillars to ensure that you can sustain, if it's not growth, you know, hopefully just maintain an equilibrium if things do get more challenging, but in terms of ensuring that you've got future profit, what are the core pillars, would you say?
Well, we talk about 4 machines that you need to build a profitable, sustainable, scalable recruitment business. And those machines are your attraction machine, which is that generates your leads. So that generates your clients and that generates your candidates. So you actually need one machine for each. Then you've got your conversion machine. So that then leads those, we call them gold jobs, but those VIP jobs and those most placeable candidates, your VIP candidates, that converts them. Then you've got your delivery machine, which is a systemized service offering. And you have one of those for your clients, you have one of those for your candidates. So again, you would have 2 of those strategies, and your economic machine. And that is essentially what makes sure you get paid, your back office runs smoothly, you're compliant, etc. So for recruitment businesses, if they were listening, I'd be asking myself the question of, okay, do I have these machines first of all in place? And if I was to, you know, are they robust? So if I was to be honest about, do I have a strategy that attracts the right candidates, that attracts the right jobs, that has a conversion system behind that, and then a delivery system that's converting. So I need to be converting 50% of my jobs and 50% of my candidates as a minimum. So if your machines are not running effectively for you there, and you're not converting 85% of those jobs that you take, because if you've got gold jobs, they will be, or they're retained, then that's an opportunity for you. It's not necessarily a failing, it's just there's an opportunity.
A lot of people will have bottlenecks right now, won't they? They just can't deliver on those gold jobs.
Right. And that could be going back to the systemization of the actual model and the way they've structured their team. So the things that I'd be thinking about would be those machines.
Okay.
And not neglecting those, not neglecting your staff, making sure they're happy. What's that commission structure? Are they in place? And get ahead on tactics. Because what I'm hearing from a lot of recruitment businesses is they're so focused now on candidates, and they're in that situation of turning, like we were saying earlier, turning clients away, that's the right thing to do if they're not your avatar client, they're not your avatar job. And what is that nurture sequence though of those clients that you have? How are you making sure that the experience that the client has with you is so good? So again, that would go back to, of course, your return, your ROI for the client in terms of how successful you are placing those jobs. But also, people people buy based upon an experience. So that is how they determine whether they're going to come back to you or not. And I often use this by giving an example of, think of a brand, or think of a coffee shop or hairdressers or service provider that you use frequently. Okay. And when you think of that service provider, what is it that makes you go back there time and time again?
It's how they make you feel.
Exactly. So it is the experience, and the experience is actually your service offering. So it's the steps that you take from the moment you get that job to the moment that you fill that job. But beyond that, like, what is that post-placement service offering?
Yeah.
Because if we're being quite transactional,
basic stuff, isn't it? It's not transactional. It's all the things that you should be doing, but a lot of people don't have time.
I think it I mean, when we talk about it, it sort of makes sense to us all, doesn't it? And at the same time, in the world of recruitment, if you're working contingent, you'll naturally want to be quite smart about where you're spending your time, energy, and attention. And what that means is then you're pressurized to be working on, because we've got targets and we've got things that we want to achieve. You're pressurized on, okay, but I'm just going to be very, very client focused on it. I'm only going to work on something I'm going to get action for or return from. And people don't see nurturing post-placement management as a priority.
Okay. Yeah, but like you say, the expectation.
But in fact, it is.
It's really important to them. I love that. I love that you focused on something that's a bit more. Well, I'm not going to say intangible, because we all have feelings. We all know. But I think when you bring it back to that, if you're listening to this now, ask yourself that question during your last placement. How did you make your candidate feel? How did they feel? Have you asked that? What else can I do for you? And how did you make your client feel? Because when there's more challenging times ahead, they will remember that, and they will then be the ones that will advocate you. I think it's such an important message to send, and you are like the best guess I could have thought of to say that to people, because you're seeing it and hearing it all the time from companies that are trusting you with what they need to do to propel themselves.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that the forecast, when we're listening to this, maybe in 2023, who knows, maybe the recession wasn't as bad as people said it was going to be, but I think we all know that it goes in cycles, and the reason why people can't maintain and sustain what they've achieved over the last few years by listening to the advice. Any final tips or advice? Well,
look, from my experience, it's always, actually, I tell you what it is. So you'll know this. We talk about be the change. Yeah. And for anyone thinking about either the landscape they're in now or the landscape that's might coming, if you want more, you have to personally become more, right? John wrote. So if you are serious about whether it's building your recruitment business, whether it's, dealing with challenges ahead, you just want to become more, you want more for you and your business, then you have to design and grow a new character to take you into that. So a question would be for people, who do I need to become effortlessly to achieve my dreams and my goals, right? Because you have to, instead of trying to achieve your goals by working much harder or taking more action, then actually it's about becoming the character now that is going to all have achieved that goal. Yeah, so it's designing a new you. And that then becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy. So what helps me, I have multiple coaches that I work with, and that is because I know that to stretch myself, for me to work outside of my comfort zone every day, which is what I need to do to achieve the things that I want to achieve, then I know I have to have my feet held to a fire. Yeah, because I need direction. I need to be accountable. Because if I'm not accountable, it's too easy. Yeah, it's too easy. It's way too easy for me to go, oh, do you know what? I'll do that tomorrow. That's a great thing to do, but I'll do that tomorrow. So I would say get ahead. Think about, who am I going to hang around with? The 5 top people that are going to grow me, stretch me, or get yourself a coach, seriously, whether that's a mindset, business coach, whatever that is. get yourself a coach, or top sports people have them. Don't neglect what you already have, and look at those machines in your business and check them out. Yeah.
Checklist there. That has been phenomenal. Thank you so much, Katy. I knew you'd be amazing.
You're welcome.
And we'll make
You're welcome.
Everyone's got your contact details. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Recruiters Recruitment Podcast.